Let's talk characters. Have you ever been in a circumstance where you simply could not explain why a certain character does not resonate within you? Like with many people, I'm sure we have all been there before. That stops today. I have created a system that I call the character audit. By breaking things down into individual categories, everybody, including myself, will now be able to understand why some characters have greater impact. Like many other things I've created on this channel, I created a sheet that will go through all the explanation, and then we're going to dive into a tool that I've also designed. Without further ado, let's jump into the explanation sheet. And here we are, onto the sheet that I call the character audit, the core rating system. As with any other sheet that I've created on the AveyaZ YouTube channel thus far, this will exist within the other all available links document. So going on to the entire aspect of this sheet here, the system that I've created, or the graphic tool, the character audit, is going to break down character analysis into 7 distinct groups or categories to determine the true standing of this character, whether it be in the world of gaming, movies, and alike. Now, as I already stated before, I will utilize this tool in the future to go ahead and broadcast my ratings on individual characters from many other games and movies and all the things that I love to see. But also now all of you, for the viewers, can go ahead and use this tool as well. This will be a great tool for anybody who is a streamer, YouTuber, or really just wants to be able to showcase and have some fun with some of their friends, family, and anybody else. And once you've gone through and navigated between each of these 7 distinct categories, you will have an average rating from all of those 7 distinct categories that will then break it down as a tier as well, starting from D tier all the way up to God tier. God tier is just one of these things that I've continued to utilize on this channel, and of course within this tool as well, it's coming back again. In the end, the entire purpose of this tool is to be able to recognize why some characters resonate within us, and also we can utilize these metrics to be able to understand in the future if you're just now getting into a new game or a new film, or even if you're just seeing a quick trailer about some character involvement, you're going to quickly be able to understand, okay, breaking down by these 7 metrics, is this character going to have an impact on my life? And I understand that's more about a grand impact, but the more of an impact the character has, the more likability that you're going to have in the connection there. So section 1, let's get on to those 7 metrics. The first one is going to be the appearance. The appearance is going to be about the visual impact and design quality of the character. For example, what are some things that I'm going to be looking for? Does the character have a distinct silhouette? Is their outfit detailed and fitting for their world, the world building that this character exists in? Are there any physical unique traits? Think of scars, glowing eyes, mutations, anything else that really tells a story without giving words to it. Subtle key characteristics, but truly have a big impact by the end of it all. An example of a 1 out of 10 rating, this would be a generic NPC figure. You saw the character, it had no impact whatsoever, it was completely forgettable, sayonara. But a 10 out of 10 example would be that it was instantly iconic, and or almost to the point where the character is defining the franchise that the character is existing in. On to the second metric here, and that is lore depth. Lore depth. So what are we going to define lore depth? The richness of the character's backstory and their connection to the world. Things that we're going to be looking for. How deep does their history go? Are they tied to ancient events, lost civilizations, or complex political struggles? Does reading their item descriptions or wiki page reveal a whole new layer of depth? Inevitably, are we looking at a difference between, is this a character that has no background and is just in existence just to move a plot forward? Or is this a character that has a true meaning to the story as a whole? On to character metric 3, and that is going to be character plot. And yes, character plot is going to be different than the lore depth. So let's go through into what the plot is. The plot is the quality of their personal journey and narrative arc within the main story. So the lore is the fact that they exist on a level that's just not being a background character. But then when it comes to the character plot, meaning though they exist in a plethora amount of the story here, they don't just exist in the story, they play a big impact as to having a change or transformational aspect almost within the character arc of the story. Things to analyze when it comes to character plot. Do they grow and change? Do they face meaningful internal conflict? Is their conclusion satisfying or tragic? Overall, all of these things will measure the writing of their active part in the story. An example 1 out of 10 metric for the character plot would be a flat character that doesn't learn or change and just exists. Much like an NPC, right? Meanwhile, a 10 out of 10 example would be a masterful arc of redemption, corruption, or tragedy. That's a key showcase of the difference between a character that is existing as in the background and a character that has this transformational arc within their story. Metric number 4, and that is combat and power. To define what the combat and power is, this is going to be the cool factor of their abilities, fighting style, and overall raw strength. Pieces to analyze here. Are their moves flashy and satisfying? Do they wield legendary weapons? Does playing as them, fighting them, that is in a game standpoint, or watching them, that could be going along the lines of films or movies, does watching them feel impactful and weighty? A rating of 1 out of 10 for combat and power would be an indicator that the character is weak, or if I'm playing the character feels clunky to play as. It's not a smooth line transition within the animations. Or if I'm watching them, does this character just appear to be boring to me? A 10 out of 10 example would be a spectacle of destruction, a god tier power fantasy. Metric number 5, and that is performance and voice. To define that, this is going to be the quality of the actor's delivery and the character's expressive animation. And if for some reason this character doesn't have much vocal impact, much role within their vocal standpoint, then we're going to be focusing more on that character expressiveness in terms of the animations. Does the character look and feel the way they're supposed to? Things to analyze here. Does the voice actor sell the emotion? Is the scream visceral? Is the whisper chilling? Does the character move with purpose? This separates a well-written character with a well-acted one. And of course, as I would say it again, if there isn't much of a standpoint within a voice actor being in consideration here, then the overall expression of the animation for this character. A 1 out of 10 example would be the fact that the character is robotic, monotone, or just simply has an annoying delivery without purpose, subject to the person, of course. A rating 10 out of 10 example would be an award-winning performance that brings the character to life. Metric number 6, and that is personality. Defining the personality. The character's behavioral traits and likability. Likability does not have to mean that the character is inherently good person with high moral standing. Doesn't have to be the case. There are characters that have villainized traits, but can be phenomenal within a story, to a point where those characters that are completely villainized make or break the story altogether. Key notes here, what to analyze. Are these characters witty, stoic, terrifying, or charming? Do they have unique quirks? This measures who they are as a person, and that is completely separate from their power or plot. So now we're diving into that internal aspect of character, or attributes of character that exist for this person. An example 1 out of 10 is that they are insufferable, bland, or inconsistent in behavior. There's just nothing that you can really grasp to the character. And on a writing standpoint, it's just a poorly designed character overall. In regards to the opposite, a 10 out of 10 character, that would be a magnetic character that you would listen to for hours or watch for hours. Last but not least, metric number 7, and this is the Aveya Factor. To define the Aveya Factor, and this is going to be completely unique to this channel, but nonetheless has an immense factor of why it is existing in the first place. To define the Aveya Factor, this is going to be a subjective, unquantifiable impact the character has left on me, or anybody else who is doing the rating in this scenario. Key factors to analyze for the Aveya Factor. Did this character change my perspective? Will I remember them years from now? And also, this tends to go along the lines with having that long-term memory of the character. Did I buy merchandise of this character? An odd thing to think about, but honestly, if you bought merchandise of this character, then it's probably the fact that in terms of the Aveya Factor, it was likely a near 10 out of 10 for the scale for you. So what's the difference between a 1 out of 10 character for the Aveya Factor, a flatline statement as simple as it gets, who was that again? Or the 10 out of 10, a soulbound favorite with absolute resonance to yourself? Out of all 7 of these metrics, of course, which one is my absolute favorite to look at? The Aveya Factor. Onto the second section of this sheet, and that is the grading system, or the tiers that will pop up once you reach certain threshold amounts of the average rating. And this is automatically calculated, so you don't have to do anything about it. So based off the average of those 7 mathematical attributes here, you're going to be categorized into these particular ranks. The topmost being if you hit an average of a 10 out of 10. So it's a perfection rating of 10 out of 10 for all 7 of the individualized categories. They're each going to have a visual impact in terms of the color scheme, and then the overall meaning that behind each ranking. So a god tier ranking being a 10 out of 10, the character is perfection. This character stands at the pinnacle of design, writing, and impact. A true deity of the medium. I know, pun intended. Yeah, I had to do it, okay? Now, between a 9.9 and a 9 rating, there's going to be a difference between an S plus or an S tier ranking. course, you're going to have a different visual associated. The meaning behind an S or S plus tier character is that this character is legendary, a masterpiece character that defines their genre. The character is essential for viewing and playing. Any flaws, if any, are almost non-existent. Down in the rating for an A rank character, this is between 8 and 8.9 for an average rating. This is going to be an epic character. Excellent execution with perhaps one minor flaw, highly recommended and memorable. Down to the B tier ranking, that's going to be the difference between a 7 and a 7.9. Now you're starting to straddle down by a difference of 1 point average. So B ranking. It's a great and a solid character within the story, a strong character that serves their purpose well, but may lack some final sparks of genius that would have made them a higher rating. A deeper nosedive down, and that is going to be from a 5 rating to a 6.9. This is the C rank. This is an average or decent character at best, functional but forgettable. They do the job but won't leave a lasting impression. And then lastly, you get down to the D rank or D tier rating, and that is going to be anything that is below a 5 average rating. Pitiful. Bad. A D tier rating, pitiful. Hopefully you don't have to ever look at these characters again because they just downright suck. Meaning behind D tier is that they are poor and flawed characters. Significant issues in writing, design, or performance hinder the overall experience. Not only forgettable, but had little to no impact at all. It's going to be a short bit here when it comes to optimal image formats, because very similar to the previous tool that I had created, the left side part of it is going to have the image showcase of the character you can put in, and then the right side half in this boxed in format is going to be the overall showcasing of all these individual metrics, and then at the bottom getting that grand tier rating. Same image usage as the previous format within the other tool being a contain frame. It's going to be optimal ratio of 2 to 3 or 1 to 1.5, meaning it's going to be a vertical portrait format. Check here again for the recommended resolutions. And again, you don't have to be exact onto this. For the character that I will go ahead and showcase utilizing the tool, it's not one of these recommended resolutions, but it was incredibly close enough to it to where it didn't matter. And then of course, last but not least, for this overall guideline sheet here, is going to be the technical instructions on how to use it, as well as being able to click the link tool down below with the picture of how everything's going to look on this page when you go ahead and click the link. So I'm going to go ahead here and open the tool. So I'm going to go in here, and of course I haven't drafted because I haven't officially posted this one unlike the previous time, but I will do that immediately after this video is posted. So go ahead, and then this is just a nice little quick summary here with the fine fancy background again that I put to this tool. I'm going to go ahead and run the tool. And here we are. So now we're going to go ahead and dive into the character choice here. And I already have a character in mind that I'm going to use that as an example. I'm going to give one character example. I already have a character in mind here. Just one moment. And here we are. So today's character that I'm going to discuss and provide a review on, and is going to be Virgil from the Devil May Cry series. So the name of this character is Virgil. And the source material is going to be Devil May Cry. There are multiple games, and also there's an anime for Devil May Cry, but I'm just going to keep it generic. In terms of the image, it is technically the Virgil from Devil May Cry 5, or at least that's what it looks like to me, but you get the gist regardless. Let's go ahead and turn down all of these ratings down to the low, and you can tell as I'm changing the ratings that the ranking system is auto-adjusting as I go through it. Okay, and then of course, if I wanted to show and hide the controls to get that nice clean format for presentation usage, that also exists here as well. Let's go ahead and do a quick little analysis on Virgil here. So in terms of the overall appearance of the character, I'm going to give Virgil a 10 out of 10. I think this character looks incredibly memorable by the overall showcasing of the design aspects, and also given that he is a half demon and half human being, I really admire Virgil's more classic style format, and almost to a point of being somewhat military based, but you could tell from these slight little, I don't even know what to call this part in the center here, but it almost gives you that demonic vibe from the overall silhouette with the trench coat. So for me, I think it looks awesome. I love the slick back hair. I also have slick back hair myself, and it's something that I will just love for the eternity. So for me, 10 out of 10 for appearance for Virgil. In terms of lore depth, I'm gonna go with a 10 out of 10 for here as well. I think character discussion wise for Virgil, his overall existence within the story is incredibly impactful, and he doesn't just have a reasoning to exist, but also he is a core character to the foundations of the story altogether, right? So that's why I'm going to give Virgil a 10 out of 10 rating for lore depth. When it comes to character plot, Virgil's character overall, being the fact that he is a character that strives for power, but then also has moments of time where he has to be able to understand the differences of when to choose power and when to choose family or something else along those lines, is just incredibly powerful. Because I think a lot of people in our own lives have this same dichotomy, especially within Western society of men nowadays. We have this dichotomy between whether or not to choose for trying to become a strongest version within ourselves, but at the cost of what, right? Ultimately, Virgil had to give up the cost to become this very power-driven character, and he becomes incredibly powerful, but he also suffers in some aspects because he chose that path. And I think that is just a super cool idea altogether. In terms of combat and power, I'm going to give Virgil a 10 out of 10 here as well. And the reason is because when you're playing the Devil May Cry games, like Devil May Cry 3, 4, and 5, and you're playing as Virgil, Virgil feels super fun to play. He's probably, I mean, he is easily my favorite character to play out of all the Devil May Cry games. If Virgil exists in the game, all I want to do is play Virgil. Yes, Dante is super cool as well, and Dante will always have his place in terms of the story, but also the gameplay mechanics of wanting to play Dante for those moments of time as well. But Virgil is always going to be number one in my books for the Devil May Cry series. So for that alone, Virgil is a 10 out of 10 for me. Also, Virgil is super cool, and I always look back to the times when, I don't remember what it's called, but in the first Devil May Cry game, he has a difference of transformation, and they even included that transformation in Devil May Cry 3. I can't remember what it's called, but that is my favorite form of Virgil, without a doubt. Performance and voice, when you play as Virgil, you feel like you are Virgil, for real. And not only that, but also some of the lines that Virgil says throughout the story, once you hear it, you'll never forget it. And part of that is probably the all-inclusive package of Virgil as a character. From, he doesn't just look the part, he plays the part, you feel the part when you're playing as Virgil. And also, if I even just were to watch gameplay on Virgil from any other game, including other games where Virgil has now existed in, it's just phenomenal. Always going to be a 10 out of 10. I love it. I think the voice actor is amazing and high quality performance overall. When it comes to personality, yeah, I can't really have, there are no true negatives about Virgil's personality. Virgil is just overall incredible. I love the fact that he has this transformational story attached to him, but also I resonate with Virgil in a bit because not only is Virgil trying to be the strongest version of himself, he understands that there is a cost in those moments of time as well. Where Virgil is with his brother Dante, his twin brother Dante, you get to see that feedback between the two brothers. And I also happen to have a brother in my own life. And in some aspects, between when my brother and I is just the two of us together or just in a small group setting, I can see the same dichotomy between him and I as with Virgil and Dante. Now, as to which one of us would be Virgil or Dante, it's kind of both, depending on the scenario. To be honest, it just all depends on the scenario. But that's what truly is going to give Virgil a 10 out of 10 for me, for personality. Last but not least, metric number 7, and that is the Aveya Factor. And I've already said it plenty of times here, Virgil as a character truly resonates within me, and within one of my favorite games is Punishing Gray Raven. Kuro Games, that made the game Punishing Gray Raven, recently did a collaboration for the Devil May Cry series, and they brought in Virgil and Dante into the game. The game was already phenomenal in my terms because of the overall story complexity and the characters that exist in the game, but then as soon as they came in, they brought in Virgil and Dante. I never expected anything like that to ever happen. I also never expected that the next time I'll go and play Virgil as a character in a video game to be in one of my already current favorite games of all time. Not only was the implementation so smooth and outstanding, but it truly put that resonating factor within, for me, to a whole new level that I just would never have expected. So for that, I'm going with a 10 out of 10 for Aveya Factor, which ends up with Virgil being a 10 out of 10 and the first 10 out of 10 character to be showcased in this channel as a god tier rating. And there you have it. That's how simple this tool is. It's very smooth lined. I love the transitions between the ratings. I think it's super cool. And I'm glad that I went ahead and made the time to create this, because now in the future, I could go ahead and do more discussions of other characters. And back between you and I. So thinking about this, now I've created yet another graphic tool that is completely streamlined. It's free for use, and the entire purpose was to not only help myself, but to help all of you as well, to furthering the value of this self-discovery journey. The goal is to better answer tough questions that otherwise are now going to be implemented in simpler terms. How many more tools would I go and create in the future? I have no idea. Here's the way it works. I wake up one day, I have a grand idea, I go and I start doing the implementation and theory packing of how this idea will work, and then all of a sudden I create something like this. And now I get to use this in the future. So for all of you dear viewers, I truly hope that you will go ahead and utilize this tool as well as I will. And even if you're just in a Discord call with some of your friends or whatever else, you're doing some type of group video chat, get to go through one of these character audits within your small group setting there, and then you're going to have a brand new shared experience. You may even uncover things that you never knew about yourself or about the other people that you already know very well. I'm here to bring the symbol of unity. After all, this is AveyaZ. My name is Aveya, and I am representing myself here as a symbol of unity to further the self-discovery journey for everybody as a whole. And together we will change the hearts of many, one person at a time. Thanks for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.